Hi, Jesse with eTrailer. Today we'll be taking a look at and I'll show you how to install the CURT Class 1 Custom-Fit Hitch on our 2025 Toyota Corolla Hatchback. Adding a hitch to a compact vehicle like the Corolla here makes a lot of sense. There's not a lot of storage space inside the vehicle, so it gives you the ability to add on more storage space on the rear of the vehicle, whether it be with a cargo carrier or a bike rack, something like that. And even though it's a very small car, you do have the ability to do some super light duty towing, for example, something like a small kayak trailer. Now for a closer look, as you can see, the hitch is almost completely hidden under here. All you'll see is this nice gloss black receiver. That receiver is a 1 1/4 inch receiver, so just keep in mind when you're looking into accessories. And then behind that is going to be a 1/2 inch pinhole. A pin and clip does not come included with the hitch. However, we have many options available here at eTrailer. Also, any accessory that you might add on to here will most likely come with one included. And then we have the safety cable loops. They're a nice round design, so super easy to get any style safety cable that you might have. Now for some measurements, from the ground to the top of the inside of the collar is about 11.5 inches. This is a shorter car, so any accessory that you're going to add on, you'll most likely need something with a rise to it. And from the center of the pinhole to the edge of the bumper is about 4 inches, so just keep that in mind for any folding accessories that you might have. Just make sure they don't make contact with the vehicle. As for the weight capacities of this hitch, just remember it is a Class 1 hitch, so you're not going to have very high numbers here. The gross trailer weight is 2,000 pounds. That's the amount of weight you can pull with the vehicle. And the maximum tongue weight is 200 pounds. That's the amount of weight pushing down on the vehicle. So keep that in mind when you're looking for accessories. You have to add the weight of the accessory and whatever you're adding on. Also be sure to check your owner's manual just to ensure that you're not exceeding the manufacturer's specific capacities. As far as the install goes, it's not too terribly difficult. You do have to remove just part of the fascia to get the hitch into place. If it's not something that you're looking to do on your own, feel free to check out our dealer locator to find somebody near you who would be able to help you. If this is something that you're ready to tackle by yourself, feel free to follow along and I'll show you how we set up ours. To start our install, we need to get this black portion of the rear fascia removed. So before we can get access to the screws holding that in, we actually have to remove this mud flap. So there's just a few Phillips screws holding it in. There's one there, one here. And then we'll move to the wheel well where there's a couple more. So at this point, you can either just leave it hanging here. It's mostly out of the way, but for our purposes, I will remove it. There's just a push pin behind there. Just slide something under that center piece and it should pop right out. Now we have 3 more push pins to remove, holding this black piece here. So again, just slide under it. It should come out pretty easy. There's one here. And the last one is up here. We have one last clip to remove to get this black box out. It's kind of a weird style clip. I found the best way is to get a flathead. And it should unscrew to a point. And then you should be able to pop it out. Pull it out, so I had to use my flathead to spin this portion and then stick 2 fingers up here to hold this portion. We have 2 Phillips screws to remove. There's going to be one on this side and one on the other side. We'll need to release all the clips holding this black piece on, and on the bottom ones you're just going to push up on the center and out, and on any that are on the side or the bottom you'll push down on the center. So you'll just have to work your way around, and there is clips running along up above the bumper beam. So I'll start with the lower part and then work my way up there. There's a couple spots here where this wire harness is clipped into the tabs that we're releasing, so we will have to get those off. I found that you can reach up with both hands, push the sides of the clips in, and the harness should lift out. So what I did was just squeeze these together and it lifted out for me. So it looks like there's 2 of those you'll need to remove. Once you've worked your way all the way around, it should just slide right out. So I can give you a closer look at the tabs that we're working with. So they're pretty easy. I just pushed down on the center and pushed out at the same time. And as you're working your way around, you want to make sure none of those clips re-engage. But we'll set this aside for now. Now I'll show you the clips that I had to remove. There was actually 3 of them. This is the one that I was able to show you. I just squeezed in and pushed up. This one, slightly different. You just kind of have to pull it off. It just has teeth that grab onto that clip. And this one's similar to the first. It's just a little smaller. But I just worked one side up and then pushed it up the other side. Now we need to remove the 8 bolts that are holding our bumper beam onto the vehicle. There's going to be 4 on each side. And that's a 12mm bolt. So you could use a ratchet and an extension. I'm using an impact gun just to make it quicker. You may want to grab them as they come out just so they don't fall on the ground. Just 2 on the bottom and 2 on the top. When I go to loosen the last one, I'm going to leave it threaded on, so that way I can move to the other side and I don't have to worry about this falling down. So it should just pull out. You just have to be careful not to hit the fascia, because it's a pretty tight fit, but we'll set this aside for now. Now the instructions will say to hammer these tabs down. What I'm going to do is I'm going to bend this tab straight out. The hitch actually has a slot for this to go into, so that way when we lift both of them up into position, this will kind of help hold them together, whereas if you hammered it down flat, these would just be flush surfaces and it would be a lot more difficult to get everything positioned correctly. That's a good idea to have an extra set of hands. I have my friend Ian here to help me. We're going to have to lift this up and over. Get it past there. And we're just going to hold this in position because I have to install the bumper beam. This would be kind of tricky. A bit of shifting around. Once we have those tabs in, we should be able to get our screws started. Once you have one bolt hand tightened on both sides, it should hold itself pretty much into position. So I have an extension with a 13mm socket, and I'll just get the rest of our bolts hand tight. Now we're ready to snug everything down. Now we'll need to torque all the bolts down to the specification listed in the instructions. If you don't have your own torque wrench, we do have them available here at eTrailer, or you could always rent one from your local auto parts store. But I'll just go through all 8 of the bolts and get them torqued down. Now we need to reinstall everything, just the reverse of how we remove them. So let's pop this in and then get the rest of it back together. Now that we have everything reinstalled, that's going to do it for our look at and installation of the CURT Class 1 Custom-Fit Hitch on our 2025 Toyota Corolla Hatchback.